Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I'm your host, Carolyn Mills. This is a bonus episode for Bebe Neuwirth's 67th birthday. The movie everyone picked was Jumanji. And you may notice my background's a little different today. I actually have it set up as a theater stage because not only did I love Bebe Neuwirth on Cheers, she is also one of my favorite Broadway actresses. Let's get on with our rewatch of Jumanji. Jumanji was released in 1995. It was directed by Joe Johnston, written by Jonathan Hansley, Greg Taylor, Jim Strain, and Chris Van Allsburg. Van Allsburg actually wrote the children's book that the movie is based on. You may also know he wrote The Polar Express. Cast Robin Williams as Alan Parrish. Sadly, Williams took his life in 2014. Still not over that one. Um, Kirsten Dunst as Judy Shepard, Bonnie Hunt as Sarah Whittle, Jonathan Hyde as Van Pelt and Sam Parrish, Bradley Pierce as Peter Shepard, Bebe Neuwirth as Nora Shepard, David Allen Greer as Bentley, Patricia Clarkson as Carol Parrish, Adam Hanbird as young Alan, Lauren Bell Bundy as young Sarah, James Handy as the exterminator, Gillian Barber as Mrs. Thomas, the realtor, Branda Obrey as Benjamin, Cyrus, and I'm not sure how to say this name, Thayedek as Caleb. We have a couple more here. Leonard Zola as the cop, Lloyd Berry as the bum. Berry passed away in 2016 from an undisclosed cause. Malcolm Stewart as Jim Shepard. The movie starts in 1869. The two children are walking in the woods. They take a giant chest and put it in the ground. The younger of the two yells, Caleb, it's after me. Caleb helps Benjamin, but says they have to finish it. Benjamin asks, what if someone else digs it up? Caleb tells him, may God have mercy on his soul. And they leave the forest. 100 years has passed. It is now 1969. Alan is riding his bike. Other boys on bikes chase him. Alan quickly rides to the Parish Shoe Company. And I'm wondering if this was intentional. The name Parrish, his last name is spelled P-A-R, not P-E-R, but the word Parish, P-E-R-I-S-H, um, means to die. Um, and I'm wondering because of everything that happened if that's was intentional with his name, that it sounds the homophone, homonym. I always get those words mixed up for to die. Parish. He goes inside, but Billy Jessup warns him, we'll be waiting. And I have two thoughts in this scene. Is one, I think Jessup, and I apologize if anybody has the last name Jessup, but Jessup kind of sounds like a type of name that would be for a troublemaker type child. So I like that name, and I don't know why it sounds like that. Maybe because it sounds like Jesse, like um Jesse James, not just Jesse James. Is that his name? The guy that robbed the trains. Anyway, it kind of I may have the name wrong. It's been a long day. I actually been working on this all day, so hope everybody will give me good reviews. So my other thought was Adam Hanbird, who plays young Alan here. He actually has Robin Williams mannerisms down. Like you see him walk, he's kind of got the Robin Williams walk, and he's got the attitude. He does a pretty good job. Carl shows Alan a new shoe he created. Alan's dad yells at his son for being in the factory. Alan asks his dad for a ride home. His dad asks if Billy Jessup is picking him up again. Sorry, if his son is. Let me do that over again. He asks if Billy Jesse is picking on him again, not picking him up. Alan had accidentally set the shoe Carl showed him on the conveyor belt, and it gets turned on. The machine breaks down. Alan hears his dad ask who did it, but he keeps on going and lets Carl take the blame. Billy Jessup tells Alan that he can't hang out with his girlfriend. Alan says that they are just friends, and Jessup tells him, not anymore. He and the other boys jump Alan. They take off, and Alan is bleeding from the mouth. He has some bruises and the start of a black eye. He calls the other boys jerks. I mentioned this at the end, but this scene did not seem like he really got beat up by a bunch of boys because it seems to me if that many boys attacked you like that, that it'd be more than just a bloody lip and some bruising. I don't know. I've never been a boy who's been jumped. I've never been a girl who's jumped. I've never been jumped, is what I'm saying. But it kind of reminds me, in the Rocky series, how badly Rocky gets beaten and yet he's always okay. Alan finds the trunk that was buried at the start of the movie. He takes Jumanji out and brings it home. At home, he opens the game and calls it neat. His mother comes and sees he was beaten up. The game is under the couch. Alan's parents are ready to go out. They stop to talk to Alan. His dad tells him he was brave for facing all the boys and adds he's now ready to go to Cliffside School for Boys. Alan asks him, "You don't want me living here anymore?" His dad says that was always the plan for Alan to go to school when he was ready. Alan seems called Parish Hall. His dad explains it was named after his dad, and Alan says, "Then why don't you go live there?" His dad says he did live there. The two argue because Alan doesn't want to go. He's actually concerned. The reason the boys beat him up is because of his name being on the shoe factory. They make fun of him for that. And he thinks, well, if they make fun of me for my name just being on factory, what are they going to say if I'm living in a dorm named after me with his last name? So that was his major concern there. But he rips up the flyer and he tells his father, "I'm never going to talk to you again." Sarah brings Alan's bike back. Alan was packing to run away when she got there. She tells him she already told Billy to stop picking on him, but he tells her that she shouldn't have done that. Sarah hears noises and asks Alan about it. He shows her the game he found. He wants her to play, but she says she quit playing board games 5 years ago, which I think is kind of funny since board games, I mean, adults play board games, so it's kind of funny she quit. And it wasn't like there's video games back then. She starts to leave, tossing the dice on the board. The piece moves on its own. Alan quickly calls Sarah back, and they watch as the piece moves. Alan accidentally drops the dice. His piece moves, and the game says, "Oh, sorry." His piece moves, and he says, "The game thinks I rolled." She says, "What do you mean, the game thinks?" Then the game says, "In the jungle, you must wait until the dice reach 5 or 8." Um, Obviously, because this was written for children, that's probably why we have the rhyming here. But I'm not gonna lie, I love the rhymes. The game part was one of my favorite things. Is seeing what the rhyme was gonna come up with to give it the message. That could be because also I'm a poet. I have 4 poetry books on Amazon, working on another one. I've also got a couple um novels, but I like rhyme. I told something the other day, I think in rhyme all the time. Alan and Sarah scream as Alan is sucked into the game. Then Sarah continues to scream as bats attack her. 26 years later, Nora Shepherd looks at the house with 2 children. She tells Mrs. Thomas, the realtor, that these children are not her own, but her late brother's. Both he and his wife died last winter. Peter, the boy, has not spoken since the family died. Judy says it's okay that they lost their parents because they never saw them anyway. Nora tells the woman that their parents were killed in a car accident in Canada, and they were always loving parents. Peter checks out the library and finds a statue. Nora tells him to pick up his toys. Then she tells him to put the suitcase in the attic and they can have ice cream after. I don't think we ever see the ice cream. Peter hears the baths in the attic and screams. He runs downstairs. Nora asks what happened. They hear all the noises again, and Judy says, I'm moving to Motel 6. I'm curious they if Motel 6 paid them to mention their name, if that's how that works, or if they paid to use the name or if they used it. Nora goes up to investigate and quickly closes the attic door. The exterminator comes in, but doesn't see anything. Judy shows him a picture of what his brother saw. The exterminator says that looks like an African bat. He says that there was a kid in the 60s that saw one. However, he adds there are no African bats in New England. He tells the kids that young Alan Parrish was murdered in this house. He tells them that he believes Alan's dad did it and that he cut him up into little pieces and Alan is buried somewhere in the house. I thought, why would you tell young children that some man was chopped up in small pieces, been killed by his dad, and then buried in the house they're living in? Seems like a weird thing to tell little kids that an adult would do that. At dinner, Nora says he had to talk to the principal on the kid's first day of school. Judy tells her about Alan Parrish being murdered. Nora accuses her of lying and sends her to her room. It's not playing with the microphone cord. It's making noise, I think. Or something. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, at dinner, Nora says she had to talk to the principal on. Oh, silly me. Judy wakes up during the night. Peter is looking at a picture of his parents. He hears someone coming quickly and puts it away. Judy comes in and climbs in bed with him. She asks Peter if he heard anything. Peter says no. My ear just hold on. Hey, my ears itch. Peter asks if he misses their parents, and Judy says no. He calls her a liar and says he doesn't. If she doesn't stop lying, they will make her see a shrink. She reminds him that if he does not start talking, he will also have to see a shrink. Ears. They can be such a pain sometimes. Back to our recap. The next morning, Nora asks them if they have their house keys. The kids have their the kids have her tuned out as they are listening for the other sound. Concerned, she suggests that maybe she should stay with them until the bus comes, or perhaps drive them to school. Judy assures her aunt that they're fine, and Nora leaves. The kids search out where the noise is coming from. They find the Jumanji game and begin playing. Judy rolls first. The game says, a tiny bite can make you itch, make you sneeze, make you twitch. Suddenly, she starts fighting off giant insects. The insects take off, and Peter rolls just as Judy yells, don't. He reads, this will not be an easy mission. Monkey, slow your expedition. They hear a noise and run down to the kitchen. They see monkeys destroying everything. They go back upstairs, and Judy reads a part she did not see before. Adventures beware. Do not start unless you intend to finish. The exciting consequences of the game will vanish only when a player reaches Jumanji and calls its name. Peter tells her the monkeys are gone and wants to put the game away. Judy tells him they have to finish. So they continue to play. Peter next rolls. Peter's next roll brings in a lion. However, he rolled a 5. So now Alan is back and all grown up. Alan deals with a lion, which he has shut in Aunt Nora's bedroom. The kids are hiding in the linen closet. Alan opens the door and the kids scream. He screams and closes the door again. Alan looks around the house. He sees his old bike, and the kids come in and he asks them, did someone roll a 5 or an 8? Judy tells him that Peter rolled a 5. He hugs Peter and thanks him. Alan runs around the house yelling, I'm home, I'm back. This was really good because at this point, He's obviously 26 years older because that time had passed. Um, but you kind of still see the little kid Alan, which obviously Robin Williams does little kids well. He Robin Williams does everything well. Let's face it, the man was a genius. But you see that kid in him because he's running around like, "Mommy, I'm back, Dad, I'm back, I'm home, come see me," like all excited. And you see throughout the movie the progression of that little childhood boy to him becoming more like an adult, kind of like the reverse of Hook when he starts as the adult and he has to learn to become a kid or childlike, I should say. He asks if Judy and Peter are his new sister and brother. They tell him that they're not. And this question also made me think he may not realize just how grown up he is at this point. He may think he's been like literally, he obviously knows he's gotten bigger, but I don't think he quite gets that he's gotten older because he thinks he's got a new little brother and sister. Now, granted, my oldest brother and I've told you guys before, I'm the youngest of eight, there's a 20-year gap. But normally, you don't have that big of a gap between siblings. And this would be over 26 years because he was not 26. I mean, he was not a baby when he disappeared. So, yeah, I think he was in fifth or sixth grade because he asked about a sixth grade teacher. So I don't know if he's going into sixth or he was already in sixth. He asks, oh, he asks where his parents are, and Judy says they don't know because the house has been empty for years. Alan runs outside and looks around. A police car almost hits him, but he jumps on it. The officer tells him to get down. The kids come out, and Judy says that Alan is his uncle and he has some brain trauma. Alan sees the monkeys, but the officer doesn't. What he sees is his car driving without him, and he chases after his car. Alan looks around the town. Everything looks different. Oh, I skipped a part. He's going to find his parents. So now he's looking around the town here. Everything looks different. He goes to his father's shoe factory, but it's open and has broken windows. The kids have been chasing after him. He tells them, "My dad used to make shoes, the best shoes in England." And I love that line because you see Ron Williams' face, the way he says it. His delivery is perfect because he looks like a little boy who's so proud of his dad for making the best shoes in New England. He sees a man upstairs and runs up. The man is a bum living in Alan's dad's old office. His dad is Sam Shepard, of course. Alan asks him about the shoe factory. When he learns the shoe factory folded after Sam Parrish quit showing up to find his son, after his son ran away from home, Alan asks if the Parishes are still around. The bum says he's seen them around on Adam Street. I'm not sure if Adam Street was a cemetery then, when Alan was young, and he already knows about his parents here, but the way the bum said it, seeing him around, it sounded like he was saying that his parents lived there. Or maybe Alan found out he hasn't seen him, I'm not sure, but at any rate, Alan finds the graves. Sam Parrish died on May 6, 1991. His mother Carol died on August 19th, 1991. Judy says that their parents also died, but they were in the Middle East negotiating peace. Peter hits his sister and then tells Alan their dad was in advertising. Judy wants Alan to finish the game with them in case more scary stuff happens. She points out that there's a lion in her Aunt Nora's bedroom. There's a car accident in front of them. The EMS says it looks like another one of those weird bites. Judy recognizes Mrs. Thomas, the realtor. They are sitting in her car after the ambulance takes off. Alan asks them if, before he and the lion came out of the game, if anything else showed up. They tell him that the monkeys and that. They point to a giant, large bug outside the window. Alan keeps telling them that they are safe. However, the bug keeps trying to get in. He tells them the bug can't break the window as the bug begins to break the window. Alan does not know how to drive, but he says his dad let him drive down to back out of the driveway once. Deciding drive driving isn't that hard, he drives to the parish's house, escaping the bugs. Alan is holding his old t-shirts. And this is another great scene with Ron Williams, way he just holds and like it's like that comforting. That little boy needs the comfort. He's holding it close. The kids bring in the Jumanji game. He yells, "Keep that thing away from me." Judy says that they need to play and finish the game because their aunt will be home soon. Alan tells them that with his parents gone, the house now belongs to him. He runs into the bathroom singing the Gilligan's Island theme song. He shaves off the hair he grew in the 26 years in the jungle. He comes out looking like the Robin Williams we're used to seeing. His face is cut up and there's tissues all over it. He explains that he's never shaved before. Alex, Alan is squatted in the kitchen eating apples out of a bowl. Judy suggests that he and Peter can play and he can just watch them. But Alan's not interested. He said he's seen the game. And Peter tells Judy that Alan is scared and then tells Alan it's okay to be afraid. Alan explains to them that mosquitoes, monkeys, and lions are just the beginning. He tells them that he's seen things that they've only seen in their nightmares. He says that they need him to get through it. Peter asks Alan if he will help, and Alan says he will watch them play. Judy tells Peter he did a good job, and Peter says that he used reverse psychology, just like their dad used to use on him. Judy rolls the dice, but nothing happens. Alan says it's not her turn. He sees the game pieces on the board and realizes he has to play. He also realizes it's not his turn either. It's Sarah Whittle's. They go to Sarah's old house. They see that a psychic lives there. They ask the person about Sarah. Realizing the woman is Sarah, Alan tells her that 26 years ago she played a game with a little boy and that he was that boy. She says, Alan, and passes out. This scene, before they see Sarah, um, Peter makes the comment that if she's a psychic, she would know where Sarah is. Bradley Pierce, who played Peter, actually improvised that line and they liked it and kept it in. Sarah calls her psychiatrist. She leaves a message saying she needs to have her dosages checked because that event that never happened in her childhood is happening again. Alan informs her that it was all real. She tells Alan he's wrong because Alan's father murdered him and cut him up into little pieces. He tells her that his father could barely hug him. He definitely wasn't going to chop him up, which I don't get the logic there that if he can't hug him, that he can't, because it's not that he has a problem with blood or something. I mean, a lot of people don't love their children and do bad things to them. Um, but again, he's still kind of like a little kid, so he may not have that logic. I don't know. He hands Sarah the dice and tells her that it's her turn. Sarah is not willing to play. Alan tricks her into dropping the dice. Bamboo, like vines, start to grow. Alan warns them stay away from the walls and the pods. He also tells them that the purple ones are the most dangerous because they shoot out poisonous darts. Sorry, my throat's hurting. It gets dry when I talk too long. He hands Sarah a vine wraps around Peter's leg. It drags Peter under the rug and toward one of the pods. They hold on to Peter, trying to save him. Alan grabs a sword and cuts the vine, saving Peter. The officer comes around to check on the parish house. He finds his car in the bamboo vine, or bamboo stalk. I guess that's what they're called. Sarah does not want to play the game, but Alan will not let her leave. She says that the game ruined her life. He laughs and says, in the jungle, you must wait until the dice reads 5 or 8. She tells him that he disappeared and bats surrounded and chased her down the street. They both say they were alone for 26 years. They also admit they're scared, but the game has to be finished. Sarah's scared she will get stuck in the game. Alan promises her she won't because he will not quit playing. Peter and Judy also promise to quit, not to quit, until the game is finished, and Sarah agrees to play. Alan rolls the dice. He stands up nervously as he reads, Hunter from the darkest wild makes you feel just like a child. He runs as Van Pelt faces him. And isn't it amazing how much Van Pelt looks just like his father when he was young? Which, of course, obviously the same actor, for those who didn't get that sarcasm. The officer sees it and tries to stop the hunter. Van Pelt shoots up the police car. Sarah tells the kids that even if Alan escapes the hunt, the same thing will keep happening. She tells them that Alan has a lot of suppressed anger. Alan returns and asks whose turn it is. Judy says it's hers. She asks if Alan is the reason he didn't want to play because he is afraid of the hunter. Alan and Sarah argue. Judy tells her brother perhaps she should just roll. So she rolls the dice, and the game says, Don't be fooled, it isn't thunder. Staying put would be a blunder. Alan tells them, Run, it's a stampede. Elephants, rhinos, zebras, and hornbills come stampeding as they run. One of the hornbills steals the game. If you have not seen this movie and don't know what a hornbill is, because I actually did not know for the longest time. Actually, I only know because of Lion King, and that's what I was going to tell you is if you don't know what a hornbill is, Zazu from the Lion King, he's a hornbill. Alan asks Peter, "Why didn't you grab the game, Peter?" Alan runs after the hornbill to get the game back. Peter and Sarah follow. Judy answers the phone. It's kind of funny that she randomly answers it. It's Aunt Nora. She says, um, Judy says on the phone, Sorry, you have the wrong number. And she quickly hangs up on her aunt and runs after the others. I thought it's kind of weird that Alan blames Peter and says, Why didn't you grab the game? Because they were all right by the game and he's an adult. I'm not sure if he's younger or older than Sarah. Um, but either way, at this point, they're both adults, and especially in the kids' eyes. So I'm thinking, why didn't you grab? And it was his game to begin with, technically. So why didn't you grab the game? But again, Alan is still very much childlike, which often common children to blame other people. Admittedly, adults still do this too, but kids do it because they're developmentally at the age where they're supposed to do that. Sadly, some people never get past the age where they're supposed to do that. The hunter tries to buy more ammo for his gun. The man at the store tells him, You know they stopped making those in 1901? Van Pelt asks for a replacement weapon. The man tells him it'll take time and he has to fill out paperwork. Van Pelt drops the gold coins on the paperwork. The man tells him he can fill out paperwork and hands him a giant gun. I have no idea what different kind of guns are called. I'm assuming it's may have been some type of machine gun, semi-automatic. I just know the thing was Gigundo. He tells him, You didn't get this here, which I'm not sure when different gun laws took place or not. But as far as I know, and I think it was true back then in 95, the stores have the guns registered. So the police and whoever's in charge of guns, I assume the police, they know where the gun was sold from and to who it was, all those things. So if they look at that number, they would say, yeah, this gun came from here. They would have known that it came from there. And I think that was back in 95 too. I don't think that's like a new thing because I'm pretty sure my mom's one told me about it. So, and she died in 2009. So, yeah, it had to be a relatively old thing. But anyway, Alan is trying to get the game back, but the hornbill keeps snapping at him. He throws a fish to him, and the hornbill gets it. However, in doing so, he kicks the game into the water. Peter and Alan are both running after the game trying to get it. Hanging upside down from a branch, Peter grabs the game. Alan laughs and then seems upset. And again, childlike Alan, I think, wanted that credit. I think this is you're starting to see him growing up here because he laughs like, "Oh right, he did it," and then you see him kind of sad, like, "I didn't do it." So you're seeing he's starting to get more like an adult and less like a little boy. At least that's my taking on it. Take on it, and this will make sense a little bit later. But let's look at this here. The hunter returns to the parish house. Everyone congratulates Peter. Alan is quiet, so Sarah nudges him. Alan ruffles Peter's hair and says, "Nice work. Give me the game. Let's go." And again, he just takes the game like you can't handle it. They walk back to the house. They run into the officer. Alan gives Peter the game and tells him to hide it. They try to stop the officer from taking Alan away, but Alan says, "It's okay. We'll finish the game later." Peter calls his sister over to him in the game. He thought he could finish the game since he only had 10 spaces to go. Sarah asked Peter if he cheated. Peter says he didn't. He only tried to drop the dice so that they would land on a 12. She tells him that that is cheating. Judy tells her brother to look at his hands, and you see they're all becoming furry, as Peter is slowly turning into a monkey. The monkeys, the other monkeys, not Peter, and not Mike, Davy, Peter, and Mickey. Yeah, just that's a joke. The Monkeys music group. Anyway, I realize some of my listeners may not be that old. I'm not even that old, but I love to listen to the Monkeys, and I used to watch the Monkeys and the show and reruns, the TV show, and listen to their music. But anyway, these monkeys from the movie are not Peter in the movie. It's the other monkeys that we saw earlier in the kitchen. Oh yeah. So those monkeys see the winged monkeys from the Wizard of Oz, and excited, they steal the TV. I thought that was a cute little moment, actually. Like they found their leader. Alan talks to the officer. When he calls him Carl, the officer is curious how he knows his name. He tells Carl about the shoe factory and apologizes for stealing, for letting, ugh, he apologizes for letting him take the blame for the sneaker that Alan put on the conveyor belt himself. He tells Carl that he is Alan, and Carl starts to lose control of the car. And tongue tied on names there. The hunter steals the game. The stampede goes past, and as people scramble around, Peter grabs the game again. He jumps in a car, which an elephant runs over, crushing the car. The hunter goes straight for the car and takes the game. Peter yells for help, and Sarah and Judy help him out, and then they all chase Van Pelt. They run into Sir Save-A-Lot, and Save is spelled S-A-V, so I'm not sure it's Save or Sav. And as a child, teen in the 90s, I saw Sir Save a lot, and the first thing came to my mind is I like big sales, and I cannot lie. That should have been their theme song for the store. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back. People are looting. Sarah tries to grab the game back. The hunter says, "When Alan hears of your predicament, he'll come." She informs him that Alan doesn't even know where they are. Peter runs behind Van Pelt and bites him in the leg. Judy blinds him with the price scanner laser. Not permanently blinds, it just like kind of shocks him in his eyes. Alan begs Carl to let him go. Reluctantly, Carl does so, and Alan handcuffs him to the car. He says it's for your own good, and then says, "You will thank me later." As he runs to go to find the others, as he's leaving, though, he hears the police scanner that a woman and two children are in trouble. Alan returns to the police car and drives. He tells a freaked out Carl, "I've done this before." He drives to the store. The hunter continues to shoot at Sarah, Peter, and Judy. The monkeys from the kitchen pass Carl and Alan on the police motorcycle. Peter dumps laundry detergent on the floor. He created a turbo engine which he sends Van Pelt flying, but it doesn't stop him for long. He tells Sarah he could have shot her if he wanted to, and she asks him why he didn't, and he says, Alan rolled the dice. Alan and Carl arrive. Alan drives into the store, literally. A huge can of paint falls on Van Pelt. Sarah grabs the game. Alan sees Peter and says, Oh, great. Nora is driving and hears about 98 people hospitalized with symptoms such as rashes, fevers, and seizures. She then sees the stampede go by and gets out of her car to check it out. Which I'm thinking if you see a stampede of elephants, zebras, hornbills, and I forgot the other one, zebras, rhinos, you probably should not get out of your car and stand in the road where they're running in case there's more coming. That would be my first thought. And I don't know where I am, but I'm gonna find my spot. I was talking about Nora, and there it is. Okay. A monkey climbs into her car without her noticing. She gets back in the car and starts driving. She sees the monkey and drives into a ditch. Carl, still handcuffed to the door that is no longer attached to the car, he goes over to the tool section and gets a saw and frees himself. I love how Carl just kind of goes with the flow this whole time. He's like, what? And he just keeps going with it. And his car just keeps getting more and more destroyed. He just goes with that too. Very laid back man. Peter starts to cry. Alan yells at him and tells him not to cry, but to be a man. Peter whispers in Alan's ear. Peter rips the back of Alan's pants and a tail pops out. They go back into the house, which looks like a jungle. Alan says, Suddenly, I feel right at home. Carl, now unhandcuffed, drives his car without a door. He calls for backup as he heads back to the parish house. Nora asks him to stop. She asks him for a ride home and tells her that she lives in the old parish house. He asks her if she has children, and she asks what happened. He tells her get in and I'll explain it on the way. Nora screams as the giant bamboo vine attacks the police car. It folds up the car and takes it. Carl yells, Good, take it. They go to the parish house on foot. Alan, Sarah, Judy, and Peter resume playing the game. Sarah asks if they should play somewhere else, and Alan tells her, I grew up in this. It's out there that scares me. It's Sarah's turn. Judy tells her that if she can roll 10, the game will be over. Sarah rolls a 3. Alan says it's okay. It suddenly gets dark and starts to rain, and then it downpours, flooding the entire house. Sarah tells him, Well, a rather rain never hurt anyone, but he warns her, a lot of rain can kill you. The other thing that was cool to see is that 26 years in the jungle, even though we don't see what happened, we see throughout the movie that Alan learns things about survival in the jungle that's helping him get through the game. So Sarah asks Alan what to do. He says, get to higher ground. They are unable to do so because when they try to climb up the stairs, water knocks them back down. They see a crocodile. Alan helps them all get to the chandelier. Peter is thrown off and Sarah slides off. Alan saves Peter. Then he wrestles the crocodile to save Sarah. And now we're seeing him. He's becoming more like a man here. He's doing things that scare. I mean, obviously, crocodiles are a tad bit scary. I'm assuming even if you lived in the jungle. But he's like, I'm gonna take care of this crocodile because I gotta save her. It's really good to see this. Nora and Carl arrive at the house, but Nora cannot get in. Carl says he'd better handle it, and he's waited his whole life to do this. He kicks in the door, but the water inside the house is so big that it sends the door and them flying. Peter tries to help Alan block. Sorry, Peter tries to help Alan back on the chandelier, because the waters are taking him. Nora screams as she and Nora float. I think I did that wrong. Nora screams as she and Carl floats on the doors. because she now sees a crocodile. And I couldn't help think that this is proof that Jack from Titanic did not have to die. Everybody could have a door. Alan asks Sarah if she's okay. After he helps everyone off the chandelier when the waters go down, she tells Alan, you wrestled an alligator for me." Alan laughs at her and says, "That's a crocodile. Alligators don't have that little French thing on their leg." She responds, "My mistake." They look like they might kiss, but Alan's pretty much ruined that. So they go into the room and continue to play. Alan rolls and the floor changes into quicksand. They try to pull him out, but everything they give him comes apart, and he yells, "Stop giving me things that pull apart." Judy rolls the dice. It says, "If there's a lesson you will learn, sometimes you must go back a turn." Alan tells her that was quick thinking. He says he and Sarah would like to get out of the floor and asks Peter to roll. Sarah tells him, "I thought I lost you again." He tells her, "Thanks for sticking around." Peter rolls, Peter's roll causes a giant spider, kind of like Aragog in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Alan tells Peter to get his father's axe out of the shed. Peter runs and gets it. Nora runs, Nora returns and is scared out of her mind. She sees Alan's feet and legs dangling from the ceiling. Then she goes into her bedroom and sees a lioness on her bed. Next, she sees Peter, who looks very much like a monkey. She falls into a closet and Peter shuts her in. Alan tells Sarah that it's her turn. If she rolls a 7, the game will be over. He tells Judy to put the dice in Sarah's mouth so he can roll, as her hands are stuck in the quicksand floor. Judy does so and then is hit by the purple poisonous dart plant. Sarah rolls the dice as Judy collapses. The game says, "You're almost there," with much at stake. Now the ground begins to shake. Peter goes to his sister. She says she wishes her parents were there. He agrees, and the house begins to split in half. As Sarah tries to hold on to Alan, he slips through the floor, but he grabs the game as he goes. He's about to roll when Hunter Van Pelt appears. He tells Alan to drop whatever is in his hand. Alan happily agrees. He drops the dice. One lands on the board, the other rolls down the stairs and lands, and Alan wins the game. Um, Apparently this game does not, well, it does follow the rules of staying in turns. I don't know if this is a traditional rule or not, or if it's just something my family made up, but it's always been a rule in our house that whoever, when you're rolling dice in the game, if it does not land on the board, that roll does not count. You have to roll again. But apparently that doesn't count. Work here. He tells the hunter that his dad was right. You have to face what you're afraid of. Van Pelt tells him, "You're finally acting like a man." Any last words? Alan responds, "Jumanji." Actually says it twice because Van Pelt doesn't hear him the first time. Everything starts reversed, and the dangerous things, including Van Pelt, go back into the game. Alan and Sarah hug as they turn back into young Alan and young Sarah. Alan's dad comes in and Alan hugs him. His dad tells him, "I thought you were never going to speak to me again." Alan says he's sorry. His dad also apologizes and says he was angry. He tells Alan that he does not need to go away to school if he does not want, and that tomorrow they will discuss it man to man. Alan says, "Let's discuss it father to son." His dad heads back out and Alan stops him. He tells him that it was him, not Carl, who put that shoe on the conveyor belt. His dad thanks him for telling him. He remembers Judy and Peter. Sarah reminds him that they are back in 1969 and Judy and, Judy and Peter do not even exist yet. She hands him the two game pieces. They lock it up in the trunk and dump it over a bridge in the water. Sarah says that she's starting to feel like a kid again. She kisses him before she fully feels like a kid, and he laughs nervously. They walk together. Time passes, and Sarah and Alan are grown up and married. They are throwing a Christmas party at their house, which is the parish house. Peter and Judy's parents are alive and come to the party with Peter and Judy. Oh, um, Alan's father's alive too because he actually was on the phone with them right before this. We just don't see him. Alan says, Peter and Judy, just like we remember them. The parents are confused since they just met Peter and Judy. Their dad says that they are thinking about going on a ski trip in Canada. Alan yells, No! Two kids are walking in the sand. The Jumanji game has been washed up in that sand. The credits come up. So I gave this movie 5 out of 5 beer nuts. Now, here's an interesting thing. I saw this movie when it came out in 95. I hated this movie. Like, the worst movie I had ever seen. And when this movie was what won for the what is your favorite BB North movie, I was like, no, I don't want to watch it again. I agonized. I literally waited as long as I could, which is why I'm actually recording these right before I send them out. It is 7:05 p.m. on New Year's Eve, BB North's birthday, and I just finished getting it set up, and I'm now in the process of obviously recording it because I waited so long. But it turned out I loved this movie. Maybe I wasn't ready to watch it. I was 15 in 95, so it wasn't like it was scary or anything, but for some reason I just wasn't into it. And I love Robin Williams. I love Bebe Neuwirth. Like I said, she's my favorite Broadway actress. One of my favorite Broadway actresses. In the top three, there's Ethel Merman, Bernadette Peters, and her. And the order changes based on what I happen to be in the mood for. But love all three of them. Anyway, it was a phenomenal movie. The acting was obviously great, as I've talked about throughout. The special effects, my favorite being when he's in the sand trap, sorry, quicksand, not sand trap, quicksand floor. Um, that whole scene I thought was amazing. Love that scene. The theme of the movie is very good. You've got it's kind of like a contrasting theme almost like paradox, where you need to learn to be brave and face what you fear, but it's okay to be afraid. So it's kind of like a paradox where they both go together and it's okay because they both make it true. Um, to quote my mom's favorite actor, John Wayne, courage is courage is being scared but saddling up anyway. My only complaint in the movie, really. Oh, and I also love the opening graphics. I forgot about that part. My only complaint really was the whole young Allen getting jumped and not really looking like a bunch of guys beat him up. Looked like maybe one guy smacked him, but you see them all go after him, and he says go all after him. But other than that, I love this movie. It would have been even better part, and I hope I didn't mess up any names. I watched this on Plex, and it was not in closed caption, and I've mentioned before I can't hear. I used my phone. I can show you. It actually has live captions. You can see it. Um, and that's not very good, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but it's not. It makes a lot of errors. It sometimes has people swearing that are not swearing, says things they're not saying. So I tried to get as best as I could between what little I could hear of the movie and the captioning, and also I try to leave the rips in movies, but it's hard unless they're facing um you have to be facing forward to read lips. So that can be hard. So I apologize if any names are messed up. I did co-MVPs. You probably know I try to give I don't know if I always have or not, I can't remember. But I try to give the MVP to the birthday person, deservingly so. It's their birthday. So I did give it to BB Newworth, but there was no way I could not have a co-MVP to also give to the late, great Robin Williams. The man's a genius. And I'm gonna talk about BB Newworth. She was not in the movie a lot, but she does a great job in everything that she does. As I've said, I loved her on Broadway. She's been in some other things that I've seen. She voices Annabelle and the Bad Dog. Bellatrix. Is that her name? Belladonna. Bellatrix is Harry Potter. Belladonna. She plays the angel, good angel, and the bad angel, and all dogs go to heaven. She voices them, and I don't know how many series I know she did it, and All Dogs Christmas Carol she did it. I don't know if she did in the movies. I've only seen the first one, but anyway, everything she does, she's just so good. If you've never seen her dance, you seriously need to see it. She does a little bit in one of the later Rebecca years of Cheers when I won't tell about it now, but phenomenal dancer, wonderful singer, amazing actress. Yeah, tell I really love Beating North. And best dressed I gave to Nora Shepherd. She had some good clothes and the and scenes that she was in. Grand Slam line between Judy and Alan when Judy's trying to get him to play the game before her Aunt Nora returns so they can finish it. So they're talking about Aunt Nora, and she says she will be home soon. Alan says, "Won't she be surprised? I hope she's not allergic to cats." On baseline, between Alan has just told Peter not crying to be a man, and then he says, "I'm sorry. 26 years buried in the deepest, darkest jungle, and I've still become my father. I'm sorry. Remember what you told me. It's okay to be afraid." One of the things that made Robin Williams so great is his ability to obviously do comic. He's a comic genius, as I've said, but he can also do serious. And a lot of people think he does serious even better than the comedy, which is phenomenal. And I kind of agree. And you see that here. He's always making these jokes, and then he's like, "No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be my dad. I've got to break this. I got to break the chain." And you see that here. It's such a good line. Here's a little known fact. Kirstie Alley, who will later play Rebecca in Cheers when we get to those years, she was considered for the role of Sarah, but she was filming the movie It Takes Two. The Olsen twins are in that at the time, and she was unavailable. If you like this bonus episode, please join our Facebook group, Cheers, that's one woman's opinion. And you can follow us on Instagram at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter X at One Woman's Opinion. You can join the new Reddit group thing, whatever it's called, at Cheers Rewatch Podcast. And as always, feel free to email us with questions and comments at Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast at gmail.com. Next week, next Thursday on wow, January 8th, which happens to be my dog Elvis's fourth birthday, we will be continuing with our regular Cheers rewatch episodes, and we are currently on season 2, episode 18, Snow Job. And now, please join me in wishing Bebe Neuwith a very happy 67th birthday. And that's one woman's opinion.